Hi everyone, it's me again. It's finally over. The bane of my life, something that I really don't enjoy. Transfer window, finally finished. Thank God for that. The summer one is obviously worse because it goes on so much longer, but the January one is just a farce, in my opinion. It's just, a nonsense. So the problem you've got is it's the middle of the season for most clubs. They've had some players that are not playing particularly well. They want to move them on. They've got players that they've got their eye on, but are they playing well for their clubs? So it's a really difficult time because contracts aren't generally coming to an end in January. That's more of a summer thing. So that kind of gives you a little bit more leeway in the summer that there's players coming out of contract and so on and so forth. So with a January transfer window, what you've got is clubs wanting to move players on, but clubs not being able to take players on because they've got to shift their own players at the same time. And that's not easy, especially when you've got big high-profile players that you're trying to get good money for. So I get it, that everyone calls out, lots of supporters call out, do your business early, get out there, behave like a big club, blah, 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 just move them on and so on and so forth. But this is a business, unfortunately. And with a business, clubs are looking to go, well, we need to get the best deal possible for us and for the player and so on. And you can't just sell a player to a club without the player wanting to go to the club. So there's, a lot to think about, a lot of moving parts in that. Excuse me. And I'm not making excuses or trying to make excuses. I just think about the reality of January transfer window. It drives me crazy because it's full of hype. Sly Sports, that I'm in the don't really know group, talk shite radio, all those people, they all hype it up because they're all looking for clicks. They're all looking for people to subscribe or look and all the rest of it. And so there's this constant drive for misinformation and stirring the pot and making people kind of really get involved and start saying stuff that they wouldn't necessarily say, at a different time. So I find it really difficult. You watch on Twitter and read the comments on there and the battles that people have about whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, or whether this player's good or that player's good and all the rest of it. Listen, I'll hold my hands up. I've said it time and time again. I don't watch football unless it's Tottenham. World Cup, yeah. European Championships, yeah. The actual competition, but I don't even like watching England in the build-up games. I'm not really into that. For me, it's all about Tottenham, and it always has been. And I get it. I'm a little bit strange. Lots of fans watch as much football as possible because they're just really into it. But for me, it's not just about watching the football, it's about watching my team, and that's it for me. So, I may be strange. So I can't tell you whether the two players that we've purchased are good players. I can't tell you whether they're going to be a hit. I can't tell you whether they're strengthening the squad or any of that. All I can do is give my opinion based on how I feel about what's happened. So we got rid of 4 players, 4 sort of first team players, if you like. So let's quickly go through them, right? So Ndombele, I think he's a great player, absolute class, he's gifted, beyond belief. But he has been absolutely pants for Tottenham pretty much since he started. He's not been able to play a full 90 minutes. When he does, he looks disinterested, he looks slow, he looks laboured. We've had, 4 managers work with him. None of them could get him to work very well. So for me, no loss. He's hardly played, can't get near the team, right? So for me, that's a no loss. You're not losing anything by letting him go. Then you've got Lo Celso. Again, really gifted player who, for Argentina, looks like a world beater. But when he comes on the pitch for Tottenham, he runs around like a headless chicken. He falls over an awful lot. He's got a little bit of that aggression that we saw with like Lamela, but just not to the extent that really got some bite where he gets into the game, So again, another player, he's just not been anywhere near it. Lots and lots of injuries, doesn't seem to have settled, contributed next to nothing, no loss, not as far as I'm concerned. Then I'll talk about Bryan Hill, who I think is a real shame that he's gone out on loan. I've seen lots of people writing, that he's a failure and he's no good and blah, blah. How can you tell that? I mean, 20 appearances and most of that has been as a sub, and a sub for like 5 minutes. I mean, what the hell is the guy supposed to do in 5 minutes, So for me, I think that's a bit of a shame. I get it. They might have wanted to make some space. They might have wanted to give him game time to settle and so on. But how is that helpful going to Spain? That one for me, I think is crazy. I would much rather have seen him go to, even go to like a Norwich or somewhere like that to kind of, get a bit of grit and that into his game. But if teams are not prepared to come in for him, then they're not prepared to come in for him. And if that's the case, then you're not going to get what you want. So if he had to go out and sort of prove himself again and get some confidence, then maybe Spain's the place where he has to go, because that's the only option, And then we come to Delhi, right? And all Tottenham fans always think with their hearts. We always look at players like they are as invested into the club as we are, and that they are our heroes, I guess. And we can't really leave it alone, because, I mean, even with Eriksen, people asking, Eriksen should come back, he's going to Brentford. Well, maybe he don't want to come back. Have we thought that maybe he wants to do something different? And if you're really honest with yourself, his last season or so at Spurs was poor. He wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. He clearly wanted to leave, So when you look at the Delhi situation, you think to yourself, okay, it's sad to see him move on, because he had such potential and he was loved so much, because he was young, because he had that swagger and all the rest of it. But the reality is, he's poor. He's been poor for a while, and clearly he needs to do something different if he's ever going to get back to, to the kind of level that got him the, young player of the year, 2 years on the trot. He's got to do something different. He knows that. We know that. I mean, I am surprised that they didn't go for a loan. I thought, maybe a loan might be an option, and I was, swap it over. I would have thought that Hill would have been the one we would have wanted to have gone to Everton as a loan, and Delhi to have gone to Valencia or somewhere like that, a different league, where he can get his swagger back and that kind of stuff. So it did surprise me, but like all the people putting out videos about, how good he was and all the rest of it. Yeah, I get that. But what about how he's been? Football's a cutthroat business. If you want to win, you've got to improve. You've got to keep trying to improve. And the reality is, Delhi wasn't anywhere near the team. He wasn't playing. So when you look at it, the players that we've lost, are you really that gutted about them? Are they really the ones that are adding enough into the squad to really warrant a place? I don't think they are. I think, you need to hold your head up and go, okay, it's time to move on and look for new heroes, I guess. And so you've got 2 new players in. Like I say, I don't know enough about them. I don't know anything about them. And what I'll do is I will judge them on their performances when they play. There's a lot of people out there that far better place to talk about them as players than I am. But I'm going to give them my support and see where we go with it. And that's all you can do, right? I support the club, not the players. So I guess, the last thing about all of this is, are we weak or are we stronger? For me, I think we're stronger because we've lost players that we haven't been playing, and so they're no real loss. And we have gained 2 new players who may give us some excitement, may give us some hope of something different. And if they are the players that Antonio Conte wanted, and the other players that are out are the players that he wanted out, then you've got to go with that, right? I mean, he is, the best manager we've had, in a long time. He's the one who, everyone agrees is quality. I mean, we had Mourinho and the fan base was split over that, and now you've got Conte, who I think, pretty much every supporter will say is world class and and at that level that we really need. So if you're not going to trust that he's going to make the right decisions about the players or whatever, then, I don't know what else to tell you, to be honest with you. But the question still remains, did he choose these players? Did Paratici approve these players? Is this Daniel Levy buying the play? What's the structure? We're all hoping that Conte's saying, these are the positions I need. These are the type of players I want. Paratici goes off, finds out the options that are available, and he goes back to Conte and says, look, we could get this guy or we could get that guy or whatever. And he gets the final say, yeah, that's the sort of player I'm looking for. And if that's the case, then you've got to believe that you're stronger overall. I mean, January, like I said at the beginning, is a very difficult period. And when it's a difficult period like that, you only got to look around at all the other clubs and go, well, United ain't bought anybody. They're worse off because of the Greenwood situation, surely. West Ham didn't buy anybody. I mean, Arsenal, they're letting players go left, right, centre. So God knows what's going on there. Are they getting some money back ready for a summer onslaught? That may be something that we see coming. But ultimately, you look at the teams around you. Very few teams did any business, and very few teams were looking to do any business. So it's I guess getting 2 new players in and getting rid of some dead wood is probably the best that you could have hoped for. So we'll see. We've got to give it a go and see what happens. We've got the FA Cup this weekend, so it'd be interesting to see whether either of the new guys get into that. It doesn't seem likely. So Wolves may be the first opportunity we get to see him in action and see what that brings. But, for me, I'm just glad deadline day's over. I hate all of that, and I'm obviously not looking forward to the summer and all that nonsense that goes with that. I'll just wait and see who comes in, who goes out, who will support going forward. Because I think, obviously, Ndombele, Lo Celso are both loan deals. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out for them, whether they do move on permanently or not. So yeah, we'll see how it progresses. But again, keep the faith, keep on supporting the team, and as always, up the Spurs.